Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming and being here on time. And we are just waiting a few more minutes to see if anyone hops on. But in the meanwhile, you can participate in the chat maybe and put in there, what does manifestation mean to you? Oh. Well, let me do it that way. We'll start my video. Hello, hello. I can't see everyone, I don't think, with the little sidebar chat, so just keep it small. But thank you for being here. This is going to be participatory in a few ways, and so you know, let's get cozy with our chat box. Christina says to her, manifestation means creating with our vibration. Okay, so like everything has to be in alignment with what we want. Like if we're not, am I getting this right, Christina? Like if we're not sort of vibing in the frequency of what we want, we can't attract what we want. And there's someone with the screen name Want To. I'm wondering if you can say hello and let us know maybe even who you are and what you think manifestation is. And we are at almost 5 after, so I'll get started at 5 after. Yeah, and we attract the things that we feel, whatever that is, even if it's out of alignment. Yeah, so we can be attracting the things that we need to learn about, even if we are not wanting it. Agreed, agreed. Unfortunate when that happens. Awesome. Okay, well, there were many, many people signed up for this, and I'm assuming that they are going to catch the recording. So we'll go ahead and get started. And that just, puts the participatory emphasis on you all that are here. So thank you for being here. I'm Sarah Poet. And, in using the word manifestation to begin, it was interesting because when I created the system that is structure and flow, manifestation was like a byproduct of it. I didn't know that that was going to happen, and then that's what started happening, and I was like, whoa, this is awesome. And can be intimidating when we start getting what we want. So go ahead and put for me in the chat if you have been watching any of the videos that I've been sending out and where you have been watching them. So I've sent some in email, and I've sent some to the Sacred Remembering group. A lot of explanation of what structure and flow is as a system is in those videos. So let me know if you have seen those. Okay. All right, so I'm going to be watching. Christina has not. Okay, well, you might want to go back and grab some of those, Christina, if you are interested in what I'm saying, because there's a lot more information there that I just won't have time to go through today. There's a lot of information there. So, okay. Here's why we're here. There's nothing that's more valuable than your time and energy, especially in the last few weeks. I've really been looking at this and I was like, wow, if we revolutionize our time and energy, there's really nothing more than that. Like this is the foundation, this is it. And many, many women are very, very used to giving energy away. And so, hey, welcome, Amber. And so this is a time where we are not going to be giving our energy away anymore. Okay, patriarchy really relied on women giving away the energy. And I know that like every woman can relate to this, and we're just not going to do that anymore. We're also here to hear about structure and flow. It's a 90-day formula, but this is the formula that I'm giving you for increased manifestation. And I'm actually doing this webinar a little bit differently. And I decided to do it a little bit differently because last weekend I was on, well, when don't I do things differently? But I was on a training for a 4-day Kundalini yoga business training. And the host of that, Guru Jagat, she was talking about this age, this Aquarian age, and she said, we are now in an experience exchange. And what she was referring to was she was saying, no one is going to do this for you. And I'm kind of new to a Kundalini yoga practice, but it's so true in Kundalini yoga because it's hard stuff that, you know, you're sitting there and you're like, no one's going to do this for me. If I want the benefit, I'm going to do it. Like I have to do it. And so it's this mirror of what she's saying here that, which I'll also say, when I poll women, and this just came up in the Sacred Truth Mastermind, you know, it's like, how do we think our problems are going to get solved? Including money, including manifestation. Very, very often we want it to like poof appear. We want somebody else to do it for us, whether it be like a man or a father or God, or, you know, we want it to just like happen magically. We want manifestation to happen magically. And that's not where we're at. It's not ever where we're at, but it's not where we're at right now, because in this turning of paradigms, we are now in an experience exchange, and we very, very much need to be engaging our energy. So I'm actually, okay, I want to ask you this question first. I was actually writing my book the other morning, and I was reminded of this story, and I came to these slides and I added it. Because I had a million moments like this, and I'm wondering if anyone can relate. So there was this shaman in town who I really wanted to see because something was like really up for me. It was, you know, very painful. I think I was like changing jobs, and she charged $200 an hour, which at the time was like a lot of money for me. And I went and I like wrote the check for $200, and she said, you know, as she was taking my money before we started, she said, I will add this to my altar and may it multiply. Like she had like a, you know, a system for like multiplying everybody's money that came into her business, into her house, into a session. And in that moment, I was like, yes, like the shaman's going to bless the money. It's going to multiply, you know, things are going to happen now. And, and like, you know, what I'm investing in is going to be the thing that then creates my manifestation. And I'm wondering if anybody else has had moments like that where you're like, okay, if I spend this money and invest in this thing, then it's gonna like be the answer. It's like gonna be the thing that you know, saves me, or like it's gonna be my final aha. There aren't that many people on the live call, but like chime in. Can you relate to this story? Like, you know, you're like really hoping for some magic. You're really hoping that this one thing works. And what I know from that not magically working is that, you know, you have to keep going. And so the way to manifestation is not, Audra says, yep, me too. Amber says, yeah, Christine, thank you. I knew I wasn't the only one. Yeah, so there's like no, you know, magic bean or magic pill or whatever. And, you know, the path to manifestation is really congruent with the path to becoming yourself. Okay. I know, especially if you're on this call, I'm going to say that's true, because you wouldn't be in this sphere if you weren't also on a soul path, right? Like not everybody needs to talk about manifestation this way, because a lot of people can like go out, get the job, you know, do the hustle, do the thing. And it's like, wonderful that everyone has their own like path in their own tune. And, you know, what I know is that if you're in this circle, you're also looking for your own purest truth. You're looking for, manifestation in congruence with your desires. And so that's not like a one day, like, oh, boom, I cleared it all. Okay. I actually had a woman reach out to me recently and ask me if she was asking me like if we could do everything in 1 hour. No, we can't. Like, I won't ever pretend that we can. We can, you go to the different sessions, you do the different things, you continue to show up for your soul, know your truth, honor your truth, and be in that frequency of desire, like Christina was saying. Do the things that you're avoiding, which we're going to talk about today. Trust and create in that way. So because this is an experience exchange, and because we are all on this path and we are engaged in a soul path, I'm actually going to break the rules of, like internet marketing and all of that. And I'm going to tell you exactly about structure and flow and what I am giving you this webinar for, before I give you the rest of the webinar. So because I really believe in the system, and I'm not going to try to convince you the whole way through and then sell you at the end. I want to be completely transparent that this is what is going on here. There is a offering for a system and a program called Structure and Flow. And it's a 90-day system for true change and recalibration. I've actually been using the hashtag practical magic all over it, because what you're going to hear today and what Structure and Flow is a very practical planner system. Okay. I have a copy of it. You get a book, like it's a planner system. And every day you go through the planner system and then magic happens. Okay. What I would call magic, like practical magic actually happens because of the way that this system is actually designed. Okay. And so we are going to travel as a women's group in this 90-day system in a group coaching container. Okay. I'm so excited to get clear, in this last quarter of 2021, to focus on what we want, to listen, to clear the distortions. There's so much distortion out there. There's so much confusion out there right now, external influence. And we're actually going to work together to really clear that. And Structure and Flow helps you to get very, very clear about your time, your energetic boundaries, how you are manifesting in your life, in your career, whether or not you're still like in the 9-to-5, whether you're an entrepreneur, like whatever. We are women, and our energy like is having its own, like we need to have a revolution in our energy as women right now. Okay. So this program is on sale today at sarahpoet.com. And I'm going to talk about what it requires of your resources, okay? Because we all want to know, like, well, what am I going to give and what am I going to get, right? So I'm going to talk about what you're going to get throughout this slideshow, because whether or not you listen to this whole thing, whether or not you do the whole program, if you listen to this slideshow, you'll get a lot of information. I'm happy to give it to you. I'm also super happy if you want to travel for 90 days in a group container to really freaking overhaul your time and energy. Okay. I love transformation. Clearly, I'm excited. So, okay, 7 to 10 minutes in the morning, 7 to 10 minutes in the evening. Now, I would say you could do it in less time than that. I have my current Structure and Flow book right beside me, and I am like going throughout the day, I'm coloring the wheel and I'm doing the things throughout the day. So it doesn't take me that long in the morning or the evening. And then I give it 30 to 40 minutes on a Sunday, and there's like a Sunday process. And then if you want to do additional self-care practices and that kind of thing, obviously you're going to live your life anyway. This is really meant to be like you're living your life and you're doing these tweaks. And so the time to live your life is obviously additional, but it's not a lot of time to actually do this program. And then the women's group will meet for an hour a week. You can join the live call. You can watch the recording. It's a Q&A as well as a group coaching program. And then there are 3 payment options. Okay. And stick around to the end because I'm going to give you a little coupon. So, $1,200 if you can do a one-time payment, 3 payments of $455, and 6 payments of $222. And you know, if you're like in the boat, listen, wherever you are financially right now is totally fine. I really want to say that. I am not, you know, someone who's like, manifestation, 6 figures, 7 figures, like get your ass in line. Like none of that shit is going to come out of my mouth. If it does, somebody send me an email and call me out. You know, we're all at different places in our relationships with our money, and that's completely fine. And I wanted to make this accessible to everyone because what I want you to get is the revolution. Okay. And so, you know, just, yeah, do whatever you can. No problem. Okay. I said, okay, you get the planner tool, you get the teachable video, the teachable online. I'm talking fast so I can get through this part. You get access to Teachable. So it's like all online. You have like a teaching hub online with videos and meditations, everything's stored there. Okay. All of the things that will support you are stored there. Then we have a live call once a week with a Q&A. Okay. And like a Facebook group that, you know, keeps the conversation going. So if it's a Tuesday and you have a question and you want to put it out there, or if it's Tuesday and you have a celebration and you're like, oh my God, I just, you know, totally set this boundary and this is what happened. Celebrate it with, with the women in the group, then that's there. Okay. Welcome, Artemis. I'm glad you're here. And women's group alchemy is so real, y'all. And it can be overlooked. It cannot be overlooked in this era of change, because what one woman shares, and Audrey can attest to this, what one woman shares will spark something in another woman. Like, this is such the power of a women's web. And it's bigger than that, but that's the time I'm going to allot to talking about that right now. Today, we're going to talk about how we do manifest. We're going to talk a minute about scarcity versus plenty. And then we're going to talk about the different aspects of the structure and flow system. And that's the part that even, you know, regardless of what you decide to do, if you participate in the 90-day program or not. By the way, the workbook is only available in the 90-day program. That's it. It's not like for sale as a workbook, okay? You will still get benefit from listening today, so. Okay, there's a lot of words on this slide, but let's just go one at a time. So how we manifest and how we don't. So let's share, first of all, before we read all the words. Like, how have you manifested? Like, how have you noticed, like, oh, I manifested that? And how have you not? So while you're typing, I will give an example. Like, I can manifest the hell out of really amazing things, like relationships, when I completely let go. Okay, so that's the word, like, wow, I'd really love if this happened. And then I go on my day and then like, oh my God, it's happening, right? But money has been the place where I have had the most trauma associated. And so it's actually my hardest thing to manifest. Historically, and where I've had to do the most work. No one is popping in the chat with this question. It's a vulnerable one. And so when I am clenched, when I'm trying to like make it happen, it doesn't work. Okay, so Amber says, truly embodying what it is that I'm calling in is my for sure way of manifesting, and then getting stuck in fear and lack is how I don't. Right. I'm going to talk today about why we get stuck in fear and lack, and how, like, it's totally freaking normal in the patriarchy. We need to stop beating ourselves up for that. For sure. So thanks for sharing, Amber. So, okay. In an old paradigm, like in a patriarchal paradigm, we all have feminine and masculine inside of us, right? And the patriarchal paradigm valued masculine over feminine, but then the masculine in the patriarchy was an unhealthy one. And so that masculine in the patriarchy was like all about pushing and hustle and making it happen. And so we all learned this. I got really good at this, especially as a young woman. I lost a child, and then I was like, oh my God, the only way to succeed is if I make something of myself. And so I just beat the fuck out of myself and just like went to school again, got jobs, built the resume. And like I was sick, I was not happy, I was hustling and really, really out of balance. Okay. And then at that point of like awakening to, okay, this is not working. And we start listening to like Abraham Hicks and things like that about manifestation, then we think like, oh my gosh, it's going to be magical. Like, did anybody do the magical thing for a long time? Like, oh, we're just gonna, it's just gonna like magically appears and like, yay for magic. And we have to engage with life in a way to get, to evoke the magic, to be with the magic, to be in that frequency. All about the magic, but we have to get our human selves sort of like our human shit out of the way. Okay. And I talked about this earlier, that we must do our soul work. Like we must do what we came here to do, addressing the subconscious while we do it. And then how we do manifest is with ease. So like Amber's saying, when we get in the fear and in the lack, we're tensing things. And when things are tense and contracted in nature, then it's not going to attract something that's like a different frequency. It's going to attract the contraction, or you're going to be, staying in lack. Okay, we also need to, in order to manifest, align to our desires, like our truth. Okay, and then we need to trust what we hear, which is really freaking hard. And this is a place where I work with many, many women in like, how do I land to the truth of who I am? How do I listen to that truth? Okay, we do it one step at a time. In Structure and Flow, I love that it's literally a planner that we are looking at our lives changing one day at a time. Okay, so we just put one foot in front of the other, and we're doing all of the alignment work, aligning our action to our desire. Very, very, very important. I'm going to talk about this today, and we need to be in the right frequency, like Christina said. Okay, so here's where I just want to give a little shout out to all of the women trying to do the thing of manifesting by surrendering. Like, well, if only I were surrendered more, I would, have everything I want, or I would have manifested this already. And I see a lot of like memes and quite frankly, bullshit on the internet, because I really want women to understand that you cannot simply unfreeze a frozen system. So we have trauma that's collective through the patriarchy. Our ancestors had trauma. Like, think about women in your families who have just like had to ask for resources, or haven't been able to, have like both their job and their voice. That's my mom, right? She had the job and the money, but she didn't have the voice. So, it's like I was reading a book, Patriarchy Stress Disorder, and she says so many right on things in that book. And she said, we don't have a roadmap for this. Like, we are the first generation of women, really like the first generation of women who's really understanding trauma and the role of trauma in creating the life that we want, or how trauma blocks us. And so if this information is new to you, I'm happy to talk more with you about this. But cells that have trauma in them and bodies that remember trauma, whether or not you like remember it mentally or just in your body, our bodies can't just surrender and receive because it hasn't been safe to do so as a woman in the patriarchy. Does that make sense? So let's please stop beating ourselves up about this. Okay. Like, if you are like, why can't I just create the life I want? Well, there are so many reasons why this is hard. And so I am not, again, this is like not a magic pill. This is like, let's really show up and have that experience exchange, like Guru Jagat said, have that experience exchange of healing ourselves and coming into right relationship with ourselves. Okay. So let me ask you this. This is like our second topic here. Have you ever simultaneously believed, oh no, this is not the question. Okay. Do you believe ever that there is just not enough time? And here's this part is, I'm going to ask for your engagement for a couple of questions here. You know, and when does this thought arise for you? So one story that comes up for me around this is like, you know, my mom worked in education, you know, mom and dad in the house as a child with full-time jobs, and then 3 daughters, and we were all going to school. Sunday nights, like Sundays were like, there's supposed to be relaxation, but there was also never enough time to like do all the things that needed to be done in the house and relax and get ready for the work week. And so there was this like Sunday dread feeling that took me like decades. My sisters and I talked about it, and I think my sisters are kind of still doing it. But do you have this belief that there's not enough time, or do you feel like too busy? Artemis, I've noticed that not enough time comes up when I am not doing my self-care, and I have all of these responsibilities and commitments that I have said yes to, but were really my no. Yeah, girl, yeah. Okay, so, okay. And Amber says almost all the time, unfortunately. So we are gonna like cover these points. Thank you so much for participating. Your experiences are just like super helpful to understand where you're at. Christina says this comes up, and more so when I have stepped more fully into a commitment of my path, I get freaked out and get out of balance, and that makes being on the path really scary. Right. So the path is actually bringing up the trauma to be healed. Good Lord, I know about this, girl. So yeah, like my fear has been in using my voice. Meanwhile, everything I do requires me to use my voice and tell my story. And so just cleared another massive block around that. But you know, I notice this all the time in my business as a soulful entrepreneur. Things do not move forward if I have my personal blocks because of the fear and the trauma. So it's like this like double-edged thing. Like I wish I could be telling you better news or something, but we really do, in my experience, like need to clear the trauma in order to get to the manifestation. And yes, all about that self-care, Artemis. And I am going to talk about that when I talk about masculine and feminine. And your point about boundaries is like, you didn't say boundaries, but I'm saying boundaries. When you say yes to commitments that are really a no in your system, and structure and flow lets you see that like in front of your face, because you're like, oh, I'm not satisfied in my energy or time, and it's not aligned with my desire, and yet I'm saying yes to it. So what am I going to clean up? Okay, it's all in the system. I've also noticed how I feel like this when my nervous system is dysregulated. For sure, for sure, for sure. And Amber, I'm imagining that that's maybe true for you. Like if you're feeling this almost all of the time, that would really dysregulate the nervous system. And okay, so in the next slide, when you look at the next slide, what I want you to look at, and I'm just going to stop talking for a moment, is look at these 2 images of time, and like both are mine from my calendars, and just feel into them for a minute. Yeah, Amber, survival mode, totally, girl, totally. I hear you. I'm really excited that you're here today. Okay, so everyone, look at these, and then just kind of look at, like, how do you feel when you look at both? What are the associations with the thing on the left? What are the associations with the thing on the right? And I'll just share, you know, the left is when I open up my Google Calendar, these are the hours that it shows me, 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. Excuse me. And then this is a part of structure and flow. It's a wheel. It's a 24-hour concept. So you're tracking what you're doing in each category. So go ahead and type in the chat what comes up for you when you look at these 2 things. I'm gonna move that into the middle. I'm gonna mute myself and clear my throat. Where am I? Okay, Amber. So, oh, Artemis, I'm sorry. So when you say I feel lit up because there's structure and clarity, which one, the left or the right? Is there a difference between the left and the right? That's what I'm looking for. I mean, linear time is super helpful, right? Like the one on the left, linear time, how we are all taught to use a calendar. Thank goodness Google exists. This is how I do my scheduling, and I can block things and I can communicate with people. Like this is really helpful, right? But yeah, like Amber says, the one on the left gives me a little anxiety. Yeah, so when I looked at this the other day, I was like, oh, isn't that interesting? You know, just seeing that 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. is like, get it all done in there, right? And then I have these things I want to do every day, like, you know, Kundalini and writing. And like, I'm trying to keep myself on a rhythm. And then it's like, well, if I take up this time here, this is what goes through my mind when I look at this. If I take up this time here, then like, what's going to happen? By the way, I don't get to everything on my ideal every day, but like, this is how I have this day blocked out. Okay. So hopefully I'm meditating. Hopefully I'm exercising. Hopefully I'm writing every single day. Those are my goals right now. And I'm blocking it, but then it's up to me to like really get to it. This one, I want to talk about this one for just a couple of moments here. So you can see that it's like 2, 4, 6 here on the right side. And I'm like pointing to my screen, like you can see where I'm pointing. I'll point with my mouse. And, so I chunk in like hour or half hour. So quite a few things happened when I began using this, and I really resisted this for a long time. Okay. Because I was like, I don't want to keep up with, I had a hard time at first, you might have a hard time at first, but a couple things happened. One, I started getting really wise about my time. I didn't waste it anymore. So there's actually a gray color for waste, and I hardly ever use the gray. Okay. Because I'm making moments count. Another thing is that happened is I started to kind of like stack my to-do list. So for example, if I want to exercise and I have family time, I will exercise in my family time with my son when I have my son. So I'm not going for runs when I have my son here at my house. When he's with his dad, I'll go for a run or do something like that. But I'm stacking, like, okay, what do I need to get done? What are my priorities? And where can I fit them together in a really smart, beautiful way? Amber, I need to hop off early. Would love to catch the rest on the replay. It'll be in the emails. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, and so the other thing, so I said I stopped wasting time. I got really smart about how to stack my priorities like into one block. And I noticed that like, oh, you have 24 hours in a day. This is circular time, right? So it's interesting just conceptually, like this is, one day when you're waking up, and then like these are the other hours in that day. So this isn't like I didn't sleep for that long in just one day. That looks like a lot of sleep. That would have been an awesome night, but it wasn't like that. So, here I may have gone to sleep at 11 and, woke up at 7. That's unusual for me to wake up that late. Clearly, because I'm trying to do something before 7. But anyway, you can see that it's also flowing. And so even those days where I'm like not meeting my, 5 a.m. meditation and yoga goals, then I can still fit that in elsewhere, or I can fit it in throughout the week, which, yeah, feels really expansive. It is. And listen to this too. So when I started working with women as a coach, and, every woman is like, I don't have enough time. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't do this whole daily routine thing. What happened was I was like, we need to be looking at it like a week, like a weekly priority thing. And how many, you know, how many times do you want to work out? How many hours are you putting into like really being with your family? And so I love Structure and Flow because it gives you 7 daily pages and then the Sunday sheets to reflect, and then you create the new boundaries. And so it's just, it's like, okay, cool. I didn't fit that in here, but I'm going to catch up with it here. And that, like, that cyclical nature just really begins to relax the system. Okay, so here's a quote. What I'm noticing is that with Structure and Flow, at the end of the day, I'm able to feel like I accomplished everything I needed to do, but I also feel like I have plenty of energy. So that's fucking huge, right? Sorry if there are little ears around. So that's really huge that we get to actually increase our life force energy while we are actually more satisfied with what we're accomplishing. Revolution. Okay, so this is part 3, right? I'm gonna have to go fast through a few of these things because I want to respect your time. I'm gonna do this all in 75 minutes, if not a little less. Okay, so the Structure and Flow system is in like a masculine and feminine flow. You can do Structure and Flow and never even like really think about feminine and masculine. You can do Structure and Flow and never, you know, like this could not be the guiding principle of your life. Don't worry. It's just going to be like a little education in there. Okay. So here are the parts of the system that we are going to use to like truly manifest. Okay. And again, this is like practical magic, because if you just use the system and use the women's group, then all of these things begin to happen. Okay. So how many of you, we're going to talk about acknowledging truth and desire. This is a vulnerable question. How many of you are not honest with yourself about what that little voice inside of your head is saying? Okay. Or like you hear the voice inside your head and you're thinking, yeah, I hear you, but I don't want to listen to you. But then you like still want things to magically manifest. Anyone? Not everyone's engaging in the chat, but you know, I have definitely done this. Totally do this. Like this is a shadow side of being a woman, of wanting things. Audrey. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So this is key. We need to be able to like bring back that feminine, bring back that intuition, naming the desire, right? So we want to cultivate an opportunity to really let that little voice inside of ourselves say what it wants to say. Because she's why we're here, right? Like that voice is us. It's our soul, it's our path. And she, you know, she's trying to tell you like, go this way, go this way. You know, this is also coming up. I'll also say that you can manifest by not taking action too, which hurts. Because if you are, you know, if you have a destiny to, you know, be amazing and great and help the world, which we do, then, you know, you'll need to pay attention to the voice. And an example of what happens when you don't pay attention to the voice is, you know, when I knew it was time to leave my teaching career, I was scared because I did not know how I was going to make the money and I didn't have savings. And, and you know, even like Spirit had said, like, go refinance your house. And I did. And I, you know, I had enough money to like do the transition and I was still scared. And then I didn't take the move, didn't make the move, even though it was past time. And I knew that it was past time to leap to embodied breath, my practice. And then things got really ugly at work, really ugly. And it broke down in a way that forced me to like get my ass out the door and do the damn thing. Christina, yeah, for sure. I don't listen often. Right. But like Christina felt that one. I know, girl. I said all that and I was like, yeah. So, Christina, do you also know that that is your path to like the life that you are wanting to create? I mean, we know that. wanted to leave a job, but got fired instead. Yeah. Yes. Right. So I call that like forced evolution. Okay, we need to listen. And then, okay, second phase of this, what's needed for manifestation. We need, I don't like the word boundaries because it has so many cultural associations to it. I want you to think about boundaries. First of all, I've been talking about this all over the internet, so I'm not going to talk about it fully here. Boundaries are clarity. Boundaries are clarity. So in the example that I was sharing a moment ago, like if you're saying yes to too many things and then you're feeling depleted, if you go back, we just talked about this recently, if you go back and look at why you're saying yes to the things that you're saying yes to, there's probably something off right there. So the clarity is about how do you want to give your time and energy? Energy can be emotional energy. Energy can be time. I'm going to just show you the boundary sheet. So we're organizing our time and energy according to where we want it to go. Now, we don't always have like full control over all of our time, right? Like maybe you're required to work 8 hours a day where you would really only like to work 2 and, you know, sit and read for the other 6. Well, like maybe you can manifest that life by creating it and walking toward it. But like right now, you need to be at work for 8 hours. So that does not need to dominate your energy, your feelings, your creation toward your desires. Like you can still organize, reorganize, recalibrate your energy. Yeah, Audrey, go ahead. Sharing something about the concentric circles. Do you want to do that with your voice or type it? Whatever you want. Audrey's
I'll do it with my voice so it's faster.
Yeah, nice.
So just to let you, Artemis and Christina, know, I am involved with Sarah's mastermind right now. And so she's having us do this as part of the mastermind. And so one of the things she said to us is you can even winnow out, like get specific. And so I work a 9 to 5, and sometimes my supervisor really frustrates me. So I put getting the work done for my 9 to 5 in circle 4, but I put feelings about my job out in circle 7. And so this just happened Monday, and I was so excited, and I haven't showed with Sarah yet. But we were in a conversation, and I could feel myself starting to get irritated, and it popped in my head, she's in circle 7. And like literally the emotion just went away.
Yay.
But it came back, but it's a process, right? And I was like, oh my God, this is how this works.
Nice. So. Nice. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah. Yeah. And we talked in another call, we don't have time to go into it, about tests. Like, you know, we're going to be tested. So just because you put them in circle 7 doesn't mean that they're not going to like show up in your energy field, right? And there's so much opportunity in the 90-day coaching program to really like, or I say program, but you know, calls to get that kind of help and feedback. Okay. To really like figure out this energy. So thank you so much, Audrey. I love that story. I love that it's like bothering you less. It's so cool. Okay, so we're going to know where our energy is going and why it's going to those places. And we're going to, you know, going back to what I just talked about, we've already identified our desires. And then that's going to bridge clarity to our actions. Okay. So, you know, here's an example. Like if you know that you want, this example is going to hit home too, but I'm not going to name names. Sorry. It's so common. If you know that you want like to get married and like you want commitment, and there is, you know, there are guys who are saying like, I just like to date a little bit and I don't want commitment, then to spend your time with those people is not going to lead you toward the thing that you want, right? So a lot of times we get really emotional about all these things. And with the structure and flow and with the way we talk about energy, like it's just really clear, like, is this aligned? No, it's not. I'm not going to spend my time there. Very different. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about right action. Okay, so this is another component, PEMS. I didn't tell you on here on the slide what PEMS means. PEMS is physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. That covers all of the frequencies of all of the actions, all of the thoughts, all of the emotion, all of the everything, okay? Physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. That is like recipe for a holistic life. I'm going to email you my PEMS list. I need to remember to do that. So it's also in the book. So this is the best daily practice ever, because how many of you have been like, oh my gosh, that program's working for you, and so I need that exact program, or like, I'm going to go buy that book by this, guru, and I'm going to do exactly what they say, and then it's like, oh, that wasn't my formula. So all of us have tried that at some point in time. And so what PEMS is your own accountability system. It's your own accountability system. Accountability can have like a little scary connotation if we have trauma around that. But I love structure and flow because it helps you to be personally accountable without like the shame, without the cultural guilt, without anything at all. So the pages are organized so that the things that are primarily feminine, like, oh, how am I feeling? What are my intentions for the day? What are my truths? What I want to get done is over here. And then this side is all about the actions. And what's interesting about this is that, when we think about to-do lists, I know that years ago, I would have never thought that my to-do list could like fit into here, or like, what the hell is Sarah Poet talking about? This doesn't make sense to spend the time this way, or I can't dial down my to-do list like that. And I'm just going to say like, yes, it works. Okay. So your major appointments go on here, your major priorities go on here, and really kind of questioning, your expectations of yourself within one day is a part of this. Like, it comes with this. And then, what's interesting is that we're not separating out. This is like so key. Just hear this. We are not separating out our self-care from our work anymore. Like in the wheel concept, it's all right there together, right? So we have these personal priorities. We have work tasks. We, want to do self-care and get things done for ourselves and for our personal growth. That's what PEMS is. So we're going to come over here, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And these are our actions. This is what we did for the day. So if it's a work task and it required a lot of mental effort, sure, we're going to put that there. But then we're also going to do something in our daily practice to up-level ourselves in that category for that day. Okay, so for you, like mental could be mindfulness. It could be, like listening to an inspirational talk. Emotional could be tapping, EFT, emotional freedom technique. It could be journaling. It could be like a warm bath and you cry, like these kinds of things that you can fit into the day. You can't do them all every day. Like, you're going to have to structure it and then flow in it. Okay. And then PEMS works to move the needle on your life, because when we started talking, Christina was naming frequency, and the frequency of our lives and what we're aligning to our desires, and then we're actually increasing our frequency by doing PEMS. So you're holding yourself accountable for your next level in every category every day. And that is how you move your own needle of the frequency. Okay. Now, all of this obviously is more complex than what I'm able to talk about here, but I think I'm going to skip that because we're low on time. Um, I'm going to skip a deep explanation, but I'm going to read it. So when we're looking at feminine and masculine, we're not looking at this through like a human gendered lens, although we have cultural associations that go with that. What we are doing is exploring the archetypes, exploring the energies. And, this is a path. So, we're resting in the feminine and cultivating the intuition, right? And then the masculine is providing the structure. But really what's happening is that these two work together. So we're not going bop, 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 back and forth. We're actually like, they're flowing and they're going to become more and more and more in union as you work the kinks in the system. So the consciousness of the structure, the consciousness of the masculine, the intention, is what allows and holds the potential for the creation of the form. So all of masculine is consciousness and all of feminine is matter. So if you want to see something come into matter, if you want to see something come into the third dimension and manifest it, then we also need to get in right relationship with the feminine and masculine, which involves getting right with those trauma blocks and things like that. But we can do this inside. This is revolutionary, y'all. We can do this inside by allowing the structure to be held within ourselves. And then this is actually going to allow us to really get real and go deep. And I know that we're almost at an hour, but I want to tell this story because it's like, if you are in heterosexual relationships, this is going to be fascinating to you. This is what I just discovered. So, in heterosexual relationships, like this is very often true. It's not always true. There's like a masculine performance thing that's like, okay, I'm going to do this and do this and do this and do this, and then she's going to be happy. Anyone? And then, the woman's like, not quite happy yet. And he's like, why isn't she happy? I did the things. Okay. Is this familiar? Yeah, I trust it is. So I was using structure and flow and I was like going through the program and I was like, boom, boom, boom. I was really, nailing the structure and like getting all things done and, look at all the laundry's done. Meanwhile, I'm running a business, like that kind of like, oh. And then I was like, wait, I'm deeply unsatisfied. That's the truth. I'm deeply unsatisfied. And, I was like, I'm frustrated. I'm not getting enough time for myself. Is what was going on. And I was like, wait, I'm the one that's providing the time for myself. So what was very, very interesting is that this showed up in my relationship for like maybe the first time ever at the same time that I was discovering this inside of myself. Okay. So we both have we all have masculine and feminine inside of ourselves. And, I was like, I want to go deeper. And then I was like, wait, I'm not letting myself go deeper. So what happened was I worked with structure and flow, and I worked with the structure of time and of my week in order to allow my feminine to go deep. And I like took, hot baths and I rearranged my time. And in doing so, I created many more self-care hours by rearranging the wheel in the week. Really prioritizing it. It took me 2 weeks to get there because, I needed to carve out that time, but I did it and I went deep in the feminine and I experienced actually a nurturance and a transformation of the feminine that has been waiting to happen for 2 years. Okay. And then all sorts of other blocks actually moved. So when we are willing to hold ourselves accountable to always meet ourselves exactly where we are and then do the next thing for ourselves, when we meet ourselves there, that's when we're actually going to start addressing the subconscious. Because very, very, very often when we're overwhelmed with time, or we're, disappointed in a relationship, or we're unclear about what our boundaries are, what's happening is that we're very foggy about like what's ours to do, and then we end up resisting the very thing that we need to do to get ourselves to move forward, and we start placing it in other areas. This is called projection in relationship. Like when we want our partner, regardless of sex or gender, when we want our partner to do something to make us feel better. So I think the next slide is a testimonial about that. With structure and flow, I could see that I was projecting my lack of holding my own structure onto my partner. And that was creating a disempowerment and resentment in my relationship, Natai said. So, and she said, like, she figured that out within the first few days. So we all, and as women, and there's a bigger thing on this I'll talk about in the course, but as women, we have these traumatized parts that are actually in relation to the masculine. And so when we're trying to, get it all done, or operate as just us without acknowledging this union that wants to happen, we end up deflating ourselves, projecting parts of ourselves on other people, wanting them to do it. We can really clean this up quite efficiently, just talking about, time and energy. So resources, clarity is a very masculine thing, like logic, reason, that's masculine. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. But again, when we have trauma, and we're women in a patriarchy. And so we have trauma oftentimes with, tracking resources and really being clear about our resources. When I was absolutely terrified of not having money, I could not look at my bank account. Okay. And so we actually begin to very much avoid what what we need to look at. And then very, very safely, again, very safely, we begin tracking. In this program, we begin tracking, and that begins healing the relationship with the masculine, which begins healing our relationship with these wounds about our resources. Okay. If you have any questions about what I'm saying, because I'm talking quickly, please put them in the chat. And then also, again, we need gratitude, and we need to raise the frequency. So gratitude is a part of the structure and flow. At the bottom of the pages, we track our notices for the day. Where was there resistance, like I was talking about in the last slide, and where is there flow? And then anywhere that there's resistance, we write our implications for the next day, and then we hold ourselves accountable. And then here is gratitude, and that's the last thing we do every day on our daily sheet. And we really get into the frequency of the gratitude. And when we're combining the gratitude with the desire, okay, so this is all going to then lead into the next day where we're back to our desires. And we're getting more clear, and we're clearing the distortions. We're looking at where we want to go. We're looking at where we want to go with those desires, and we are aligning to that and staying in the gratitude. And so we're just clearing away what doesn't work, and we're doing more and more and more of getting into right alignment with our desires, and then we're creating more of that frequency for them to come through. Okay. That's how we manifest. So this is a recap of everything I just said. Again, if you have questions, go ahead and put them into the chat. I've gone over things quite quickly, but I think I'll let this percolate with you, and I will be sending you an email about this 12-week energy exchange that is upcoming, and your invitation to participate. So we are going to begin on October 22nd, but the cart is only open for 1 week, October 7th through 15th, because I need to get the books to you, the books in the mail. And so the website is here. I'll also put that in the email as to how to go about signing up. You can still watch you can still watch the the videos that I did in the Sacred Remembering group. And when you sign up, it'll be available today. And when you sign up, you can access all of the instructional videos and then the meditations and kind of start to look at those things. So you'll be in right away while we're getting everyone the books in the mail. I will say the earlier the better, so that I can, you know, have the books printed and sent out. Okay, so here is how to sign up. Everything is through my website, and then it's hosted on Teachable, that you actually like pay on Teachable. On Teachable, there are these 3 payment options. I am going to give you a code if you are able to sign up quickly. If you know you want to do this, some of you are like a clear yes. If you're able to sign up within 24 hours and you're able to do the full price and really commit, there's a code for an extra $100 off. And that is, yeah, I'll be totally honest, like it's better for me to not have to do, you know, the payment plans and things like that, and just, you know your yes, and no like problem, no shame if, if you can't do that. I laughed because Audrey said, I need to head out and go do one of my PEMs. It's her lunch break. So thanks, Audrey, for being here. So Audrey's in like week 3 or 4 of the program, and you heard how it's really helping her with her boundaries. So I want you to just look at your, you know, your situation in reflection of everything that I've said today, and just, you know, the value. I can promise you that it's worth this. And, you know, if you do have questions, I am available for consults. If I'm not interested in any kind of, you know, I want you to know that my intention is very pure around saying what I'm about to say. If you do feel that 222 is too much of a stretch for you right now, I would ask you to seriously question whether that is your lack mindset talking. Almost all of us like can find that if we are, you know, taking action. And again, you can use this program to get more on your feet around what you do want to manifest. Okay, so this is an amazing opportunity to actually heal aspects of your lack mindset, if that is still going on for you. And then some of you are going to be like, damn, this whole thing is only $1,200. Yes, you can have my $1,100 in the next 24 hours. And so, you know, wherever you are, awesome. I'm totally here for everyone. So I hope that you have learned something of value today. Thank you for your time exchange. And I definitely look forward to sharing this system with you. And I'm wondering if there are any questions. What I'm going to do is actually stop the recording and stop the share. And then I will ask if there are any questions.